Hello, 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 hello. Waiting for some people to come on. It is 6 o'clock. I did let everybody know that at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time I would talk about this infamous necklace that was brought up in court. Now, I spent the whole afternoon, hi Beyond, looking for this transcript of May 19th of 2015. And would you believe I couldn't locate it? I buy all my transcripts. Where is it? Okay, so on May 19th, the psychologist who resembles a caricature of a Disney princess was on the stand. And she was talking about a supervised visit with myself, my kids, and my parents and the dog. During that time, I was wearing, hi Gemma, this necklace. I don't know, can you guys see it okay? Or do I need to turn it this way? I can't tell. Let me see here. So I don't know, you have to let me know if you can see this okay. Do you see that? They made a big deal about this. Okay, so what happened was I wore this to that supervised visit so I could give my children their Easter baskets in May. So she wrote in her report as she sat on the witness stand like the perfect caricature Disney princess. And she talks like this. So she told the judge and the whole court that the necklace was demonizing the father. Now, in the back of the courtroom, I could hear my mother gasp. Yeah, you're not kidding. It's like, I never thought of demonizing anybody with this. That's all it is. Or do you see it this way? Please let me know which way you guys see it, because I want you to be able to see. It says, love you more. Every parent on this earth says this to their kids. Not just me. I even heard a parent, well, actually some dad coming out of Giant Eagle, and the kid said, love you, and he goes, love you more. Oh, so is he demonizing the mom? Is everyone demonizing everybody because of this phrase? No. Disney caricature princess. No. No. She needed to go back to school with her PhD and learn about child psychological ABUZE. Yeah. So then what happened next, later, I have this huge ass transcript. I won't bore you with the whole thing, but we'll just go through some of this. So now it goes on. Oh, that's the part where I make fun of the attorney. There was the part where it said, oh, here it is. Got it. Now, I'm also teach you how to stand up for yourself in court. As a pro se litigant, we have got to stand up for ourselves. Even with attorneys, I had 2 attorneys on this with me. And you've got to speak up. You cannot be afraid to speak up. I'm not an attorney. I cannot give legal advice because there's no such thing as good legal advice. So you got to get it on the record, and that is the most important thing I would do. That's my opinion. As I said, I'm not a lawyer. Okay, now here is the part, I want to kind of build this up a little bit, about standing up for yourself. And I really didn't get a chance to when the Disney caricature princess was on the stand. There was no rebuttal for me for that because I wasn't demonizing anybody. But yet they just genuflect. But, okay, I don't want to digress. Okay, this is the opposing attorney talking. Who is the intake officer, the CPS? Well, actually, it's OCY over here in Pennsylvania, who had involvement in the second child's indication. You filed a complaint against her with the Department of Public Welfare or something like that. You're going to love this. I stated on the witness stand, it was the Honorable Thomas Wolfe. The opposing attorney said, "Who is he?" The courtroom at that time bust out laughing because he was our newly elected governor. And this all took place August 26th. He didn't know who the governor was. He didn't catch that. So I said, "The governor of Pennsylvania," said that real loud into the microphone. And the uproar and the laughing went on and on. He says, so, he stomped over to his desk and he sat down like a fourth grader, very upset. He said, "You also received information from Pennsylvania Department of Human Services, correct? A letter relative to your complaint." I said, "Yes." "And you also sent a letter when this judge," which was Judge Robert Sambrook, "ruled against you in the Administrative Office of Courts complaining about his conduct. Is that correct?" And I said, "Right." Now that makes 3 individuals. Oh, here, I'll go through it like it's a theater. "Now that makes 3 individuals. Actually, let's go back because before I got involved in this case, you filed a complaint with the disciplinary board against my wife, who was the previous counsel. She was the one, remember, that wore the very high-heeled suede pink shoes and a pleather moto jacket along with tight black capris to court." Okay. He goes, "Now that makes 3 individuals. Let's go back before." Okay, I just said that. And I said, "Well, there were 2 complaints." He goes, "2 complaints? When are you going to file one against me?" So I said on the witness stand, "Maybe a matter of time. I mean, I'm not sure. What I do is stand up for myself." He goes, "Okay, but do you find it somewhat concerning at all that, number 1, every complaint that you filed has been rejected, and number 2, that you only do things when things don't go your way?" And I'm like looking at his tortoiseshell glasses because he looks like a preppy. Tortoiseshell glasses. Whatever. Like the 80s are gone, people. Okay. So I stated on the witness stand, the Honorable Thomas Wolfe did not. He took command over it and did notify OCY. And they had a big meeting and they were told things. I was talking to Jeff there as well. He was head of the caseworkers. And he told me there was a big meeting. What I'm saying is that I'm a nurse at that time, and I'm a patient advocate, and I had to be an advocate for myself, including myself. So the opposing attorney prances around in front of the judge. "But again, when things don't go your way, you lodge. It has been asked and answered, and she's not responded, Attorney Evanoff." My attorney, Evanoff, says, "Actually, she has, Your Honor. If he is going to direct that to me, Your Honor, it has been asked and answered." So the judge says, Robert Sambrook from hell. Hi, everybody. Hi, Rob. Hi, Robert. Janice. Okay, here we go. "Whoa, stop. This has not been that cantankerous. of cross, so he's allowed to ask it. Ask it again. So the opposing attorney says, you have filed a complaint against every organization, individual, court that has ruled against you. And I sat back in the witness chair and I said, correct. If I feel I'm being treated unfairly, I will stand up for myself. Then the opposing attorney says, let's go farther, because I believe that you also threatened litigation against the, well, we'll call her the Disney caricature princess, if she were to testify in a prior proceeding involving your middle son. That was the case. That was the transcript I'm trying to locate from May 19th, 2015. We'll get back to that. I answered, I never said that. Then he says, you never said that. Did you ever advise your attorney to do that? I said, I never said that. Then he says, do you ever file a complaint with the licensing board relative to what you believe to be her conduct? I said, no. He goes, no. I said, I don't think so, because she let me see my kids for their Easter, get their Easter baskets, and she had been very helpful. I don't recall sending anything about her. He comes back. You don't recall that but it's not out of the realm of possibility. I said, I wouldn't send anything out to her about her. Then he replies, I'm sorry, an email. Is that what you're saying? I didn't suggest an email. I said, did you ever register a complaint? And his tortoiseshell glasses are sticking to his head. I said, no. And then he goes, you're under oath here. I said, correct. I don't remember. I don't. Then the opposing attorney says, Judge, I don't have any further questions for her. I would just ask that she produce the phone so that when the wireless guy comes in, and the judge says, she will. Anything else? And my attorney gets a redirect examination. Just briefly, Ms. Petri, just to follow up with a few questions, it is your position that you don't feel that he's been treated by OCY, correct? I said, I not treated well? She goes, correct. I said, correct. And you went through a rather lengthy hearing during the appeal process as it pertained to your oldest, correct? I said, correct. And that, what she's referring to, is OCY, which is also CPS. Then she asked, and ultimately the Department of Human Services agreed that, and they expunged your indicated finding. Is that correct? Services agreed that, and they expunged your indicated finding. Is that correct? So they expunged the indicated finding, which means I was cleared of all charges of emotional child abuse. I said, correct? And she states, and that came just in time for the second indicated finding to be launched against you, correct? I said, correct. And I don't know how it could be launched since I haven't seen my kids since March 2nd, really. Isn't that something? You don't see your kids, and people still make false allegations that you're seeing them. And the allegations, if you're wondering what they were, sit down. I wouldn't let him ride his bike in the wintertime, and I took away his Xbox. How can that be when I hadn't seen my child since March 2nd of 2015? Then my attorney says, and there was a question. You did in fact file an appeal and request an expunction hearing, correct? I said, yes, for the middle one. We did. It was a review. We sent that off. And then they came back with that having to go through an appeal. Then she says, we don't have a hearing yet scheduled, correct? And I said, no. And then she goes, I have no further questions. Then the judge says, step down, Miss Petri. Thank you. I do have one question. When does school start for the boys? And somehow my ex answered, he said 9th of September, which I believe he's wrong on that. Because you know how these schools start like end of August? He never had his dates right. He actually got one of the kids' birthdays wrong. Okay. Now, the judge wanted my cell phone. Okay, he wanted that real bad because my middle one had sent me a Snapchat. And I don't know how that works. Does anybody here know how this works? I really still don't know how this works. Okay, but when I was previously in court, I didn't want to give the attorney my cell phone. Judge Robert Sambrook said, give him the phone. And I was like, okay, gave him the phone, to which he just stared at it because he doesn't have the passcode to get into it. So anyway, after that incident, my attorney said, leave the cell phone at home. So now what they were doing in this hearing is they wanted to get into these phones. And the judge says, I've been told by my law clerk that the IT expert from the county will be here at 10 after 2 to get us hooked up for Wi-Fi. Do you have your phone, Miss Petri? This is how I answered. I left it accidentally on my kitchen table, and I hope my Brittany Spaniel isn't chewing it up right now. Then the judge says, well, we don't need the Wi-Fi. Whose phone is that? And the opposing attorney said, that's the iPod that the middle child has. Okay, so this whole thing went into some weird hearing. I'm not kidding you. So they go on about how this Wi-Fi is going to get hooked up. And when were the kids expected? I didn't know the kids would be expected. So I'm just sitting back listening. So the opposing attorney says to the judge to answer his question, what time were the kids expected? He goes, Judge, I can check. They were going straight to the jury room. They had to come in from wherever they were living. And the judge says, well, here they come now. Bring them in here. Okay, so what you want to do to a child is completely traumatize them and have them walk into a courtroom and see their poor mother sitting there with 2 attorneys. Yeah, and a bunch of other weirdos. So the judge says, here they come now. Bring them in here. Come on, sit up front in the front row here. Hello. Nice to see you all again. It really is. I have to talk to you all again. What we're going to do is take you one by one. We're going to go like we did before, back in chambers. We'll have the court reporter there and the other attorneys present, okay? Just won't be as long as we did last time because I have a better handle on it this time. And there are just a few things I need to know, okay? And I really want to start with the middle one first. So just bring him around, bring him to my chambers. Attorney Evanoff, you're welcome to come too if you want. And then we need the court reporter. And then he says, where's the phone at? Give it to Mr. Baylor. We'll say Baylor because that's what he is in the book. Remember the demonic name? Will you get it, please? Give it to the deputy. I want to give this to my law clerk. When the IT fellow gets here, he can see if we can get anything off of it. So I'm like confused because, okay, first it was an iPod, now it's a phone. Anyway, so I'm like, hello, Chief. Hello, Stormy always, and Joyce. Thank you. Okay, so they adjourned for a little bit because, you know, everybody's got to eat something. And we've got the judge talking to the kids. So I'll basically leave this out because, well, maybe not. Okay, maybe I'll just go for it. Okay, so I'm really proud of my two boys there. Okay, so the judge says to the middle one, "You understand, unfortunately, your parents are still involved in a dispute over visitation with you and your brother, essentially, right?" And he answers, he goes, "Yes." And the judge says, "And that's why you're here, because I need to ask you some questions. Are you okay with that?" "Yes." "You live with your dad now, right?" "Yes." "It's you, your brother, and the older one." "Yes." "You're going to be starting school in a couple weeks?" "Yep." "Where are you going to be going?" And he states what the high school is. "So you're going to be a freshman?" "Yes." "How have things been going since you've been with your father?" Pay attention. "I think it's been like worse." "What do you mean by that?" "Like I miss my mom and stuff." "Okay, you haven't seen your mother since June, right?" And the kid nods. "You have to say yes or no." The kid says yes. You want to see her?" "Yes." "You have an iPod, correct?" "Yes." "And on that iPod you have access to social media?" "Yes." What kind of social media?" "Instagram and Snapchat." "And you've been using that to communicate with your mother?" "Yes." "Have you initiated it? Have you sent her stuff?" "Yes." "And she sent you stuff?" "Yes." "And you did that without telling your dad?" "Uh-huh," the kid says. "How come? Why?" "It's okay, I'm not mad. Just trying to get a feel for this. I don't mean to upset you, buddy. I really don't. I'm just trying to figure this out. Is it because you really want to talk to her and see her?" "Yes." "Do you think your mother has some problems?" Now this kid's been coached, bear in mind. Every kid has been coached, okay? He says yes. "Can you just tell me what your take on that is? What do you think?" "Well, I think she has I don't think she knows what she's doing." "What do you mean?" "Like some things she does, I don't think she knows what she's doing." "How do you think she can take care of you then? Or is it more like you want to be there for her?" He says, "I just want to be there for her." "Have you talked to your other older sibling about this?" "No." "How about your younger brother?" "Yes." "Do you two kind of want to go together?" "Yes." "I'm going to talk to him next. Are you getting along okay with your dad?" "Yeah." "You care about him too?" "Yes." "You just want to see your mother more?" "Yeah." "Do you want to? Who do you want to live with?" "My mom." "Why?" "'Cause I just think I think my mom's nicer." That is what my kid said. "What do you mean? She let you do whatever you want?" "No, I don't know. I just like the way she treats us and stuff. Nicer than the way my dad." It's like, and then in parentheses it says unintelligible. Then he says, "I just like hanging out with my mom more than my dad." The judge says, "I know this, but you're going to have to help me remember better. You're still going to counseling?" "Yes." "Who do you see?" "The Disney caricature princess." "How many days a week do you see her?" "I think it's once, every 2 weeks or something. I'm not sure." "Is she helping you?" "Yes." "Why do you think you have to see her?" "Because of the situation with my mom." "Are you really anxious and nervous about it?" Okay, so leading question. "Yes." "Do you take medicine?" "Yes." "What are you taking?" I won't name that just because of privacy, whatever. "And what's that for, do you know?" "For anxiety and stuff like that." And he asks him to name the doctor, who's a nice guy, actually worked with him. So, as I skim down here, okay. Oh, then he says, even if your mother doesn't want you to see these counselors, whatever. He goes, yes. Are you excited about starting school? No. Why not? I'm nervous for it. Have you been in the school system at all? This will be your first time there. This is a high school. No, I've been there since kindergarten. So the kid is saying, I've been in the school system, but not in the high school. Okay, so, all right, do your mother and dad live far apart? No, just a couple miles. So if anybody drives you from one house to the other, it doesn't take long, just about 5 minutes or so. Yes. Okay, this is your chance. We're going to be talking again, I'm sure, but I'm just worried about right now what I'm going to do today with what's in front of me. So I really need you to be open with me and just tell me what you really want and what you're thinking. I really need your help. I just want to see my mom, the middle one stated. Okay, all right. I'll let you ask questions. So my attorney says, I just have a couple questions for you. My name is, I think we met before. Right now, are you getting along with your younger brother? Very well. Things are going well with you two guys? Yes. Are you getting along with your sister? He says, if I ... we just don't get along that well. Is there a reason you guys aren't getting along? He states, she just irritates me. Simple stuff. The judge says, I think she's what? I think that says it all. My attorney says, maybe just because she's a girl. I have a brother too. No major issues with you and your brother or sister. Kind of normal sibling stuff. He answers, yep. She asks, when you're visiting with your mom, were things going okay? Yes. Was there anything that bothered you about the visits? No. Working out all right? Yep. I don't have anything else, Judge. Mr. Taylor. Okay, so the guy with the tortoiseshell glasses. Okay, when you would actually go visit your mom, what would you do when you were there? He answers, I'd like talk to her and just watch TV with her and stuff and just hang out with the family. Did you ever go biking or do anything like that? Uh-huh. And I'm sorry if I'm asking you to answer questions you already did, but you were talking with your mom. Was it by Snapchat and Instagram or... Kid interrupts. Good for him. Both. Whose idea was it to start using Snapchat? My son says, mine. The attorney says, why was that? Because we already used Instagram and couldn't find anything else, so I used that. The attorney says, is that at least in part because you knew that the messages would disappear right away, right? Uh-huh. You said when the judge asked you said you know your mom needs help, right? So they like to install that on a parent, not just moms, but they do it to dads too, because everybody needs mental health help. They love pushing that button. What do you think she needs help with? You said you think that she can control what she does or doesn't know what she's doing it? He says, because he's been coached, I think she needs like help on people's skills and stuff like that. I didn't have like too much of a problem with it. Just, I guess she needs a little bit of help. I don't think it's anything major. People skills. A nurse with a career of 23 years needs help with people skills. Okay. You can tell that kid was coached. There's a lot of people that think maybe a lot of your anxiety has gotten better this summer. Do you think that's true? No. Why not? Just the whole situation being separated doesn't help. Have you talked to the Disney caricature princess about that? Yes. You think that she's helping you with that? Yeah, just a little bit. Is there somebody else you think you'd like to talk to about it? Not really. Not that I can think of. Okay. The judge says, thank you. Why don't you go back out into the courtroom and we'll talk to the younger one real quick. Okay, this one probably isn't even worth mentioning. I won't bother because, see, the judge didn't bother with the younger one. Hi, everybody. Hi, Andrea. So he didn't bother with the younger one. And he just treated him like he was not smart. And I don't know if I can explain that right now, but we'll just leave that out of there. Okay, so, okay. Okay, so do you like living with your dad? Uh-huh. How about your mom? Your mother, do you miss her? You haven't seen her for a few months. Uh-huh. Do you want to see her? Uh-huh. You don't think you would be in any danger? Shakes head negatively. Does she yell at you? Uh-uh. Does she do stuff with you? Uh-huh. Are you a computer geek like your brother? Not all the time. Do you know all about this social media stuff? A little bit. You don't have a phone, do you? No, I have an iPad, though. So you can get on Instagram and Snapchat if you want. I don't have those apps, but can you text people? Yeah. You know how to email too, right? No. Have you communicated or had any contact with your mother on your iPad? No, ever since we blocked. Yeah, Dad blocked everybody from me. Yeah, there's your alienator, people. Yet the judge doesn't care because he's running with a false narrative. Have you talked to her at all? No. Are you seeing the Disney caricature princess? He shakes his head negatively. Not on any medication? Uh-uh. And you wouldn't mind if you saw your mother? Right. I wouldn't mind. And living with your dad is okay. Uh-huh. How do you get along with your stepmother? Good. She treats you okay, too? Uh-huh. Does she try to interfere between your dad and your mother? He says, uh-uh. Coaching. All right, you're real talkative today, huh? Anything else you want to say? Shakes his head negatively. All right, we'll let the lawyers ask. Mr. Taylor, I don't have anything, Judge. Okay, so my attorney asks the younger one, are you getting along okay with your sister? Everything going okay over there? Uh-huh. The judge says, I'll bet that changes in about a year. I'm just kidding you. The attorney says, I don't think I have any more questions. Then they say, okay, bring in the oldest one. So the court says, hello, young lady. How are you? It's been a while. Yes. How are you? I'm all right. How are you? Good. We're just going to start asking a few questions. Why don't you tell us your full name, blah, 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 blah. And have you graduated yet? No. This year? No. Okay, so you're living with your dad? Yes. You're living with your dad because that's what you would prefer? Yes. Last time we talked about something about your relationship with your mother. And there were some pretty serious issues, right? Yeah. You didn't want to stay with your mother, shakes head negatively. And I entered orders basically deferring to your wishes. Whoa. The judge entered orders deferring to a child's wishes. Wake up, people. We didn't even have a guardian ad litem. We had a crazy judge. Has that been working out all right? Very much so, yes, thank you. You're glad to be where you're at? Yes. You don't have to be nervous. No. Any big problems, any issues? No. All right, you understand that your mom and dad are still in a dispute over your brothers? Yes. Do either of your brothers talk about this? Not really. We usually don't talk about this stuff like that, I guess. I don't know. Why not? I don't know. We just never really talk about our feelings much. I don't know. You getting along with them okay? Uh-huh. Even the middle one? Yes. What is your take on this? Why is your brother so anxious? Which one? The middle one. I think it's his anxiety. It's caused by my mother, our mother. How so? What makes you say that? Well, I specifically, when she was sending him messages and stuff, I know he felt really nervous because he knew he shouldn't have been doing it. But he felt bad because she told him he should be doing it. But he knew that he shouldn't. And so I knew that he was really, really bad for a while. How did you find out about it? Well, I knew that his iPod was being taken away. And he was like really upset about it. And so I was like, why is he crying? Why is he all upset? And they told me that she was messaging him. That never happened. Who told you? My parents, my dad. Your brother didn't tell you anything, did he? Uh-uh. He didn't tell you that he initiated some of the contact, did he? Uh-uh. Did he ever tell you about he would prefer to live with? I know that he still wants to live with both. That's how I think that, as far as I know. Has he ever said anything to you? That's the first question. A while ago. He hasn't said anything lately. What's a while ago? Months when he first stopped living with my mother. I'd say that would be when he was like, it's not that he didn't want to live with his dad either, just like he wants everything to go back to the way it was. Now, if you're wondering how the way it was, we had co-parented well for 10 years. Why didn't they just leave that alone? The judge goes, which was that? She answers, part-time with my mom and part-time with my dad. But I know that was just upsetting him further, and it wasn't helping because now he's living with my dad and he's doing much better. How so? He's not like picking fights with the younger one so much, and he's not freaking out so much. He's sleeping. He's just a world different. So my attorney says, okay, so you indicated you don't talk to your brothers about your mom. Is that correct? You don't, the judge says, you don't make any statements to them about your mother's mental health? She goes, no. Do you guys talk about her mental health at all? No. And the attorney says, there's nothing being said about your mom has issues? She answers, maybe at first, like a few months ago, things were starting to, and everything was happening, but I just don't want to talk about it anymore. Well, as far as your brother, at some point in time, was he having meltdowns? Yes. When you say meltdowns, what does that mean? Just crying, unconsolable, sometimes just out of nowhere, yes, just crying. When is the last time he would have had a meltdown that you're aware? When he was still having contact with my mother before his iPod was taken away. Ding, 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 ding. Get it, people? So after he stopped seeing your mom, but when he was still communicating with her. Yeah, it's like he was having like them up until the point his iPod was taken away. When his iPod is taken away, he's not having meltdowns anymore? No. What about the younger one? Has had issues with school issues? Uh-huh. And I'm going to skip over that part. Okay, so the other attorney takes over. How long? Just a couple. How are you getting along with your older brother or your middle brother? I'd say better. Because when you came here first and talked to the judge and us, you said that you guys were fighting a lot. Yeah. So overall, since June, in your opinion, is it worlds better? Yes, very much. Does he seem happier? Yes. Does he have more interaction with friends than he used to, or can you say? I think so. He hangs around a lot with his friends. Yeah, I would say so. Did he hang around with this friend a lot beforehand, or not as much? Does he ever isolate himself? Now? Yeah, not like he used to, but he would just go in his room and I wouldn't like see him for days. He just plays video games often, but he still comes down and you know what I mean, has time with us and stuff. And he gets along well with your dad? Uh-huh. How about the step monster? Yeah. That's all I have, Judge. Thank you. Okay, so they wanted to reconvene at 2:37 p.m. It's like, can we get this day over with, people? So this is when my lawyer came out to me and said, okay, he's twisting your son's words. The judge says, let's get back to the record here. We're back in session, open court. I had a chance to talk to all three kids in my chambers, and there's a record of it. I'm not going to seal it. It's available for you to see if you like. The whole sole purpose of this being in chambers so that they wouldn't have to look at their parents and feel pressured. No, because they're being coached by dad, right? Okay. Talking to all three of them was very helpful, and we'll leave it at that until we're finished with the evidence. Okay, so then, let me see here. They go into these messages I won't bore you with. So, yeah, they were waiting for another psychologist to show up who just didn't bother. Yeah, the other psychologist that just didn't bother showing up for the kids. Okay, the father is unilaterally withholding visitation. Okay, so that is also custodial interference. So those are issues that are in front of me, and I'm obviously familiar with this case. We all have a lot of time invested in it. Yes, a lot of money too. And I reviewed the file very carefully before I came out on the bench, so it's clear to me we need a review. But based on what I heard and with the direction I'm leaning now, I'm not sure we need to do it on September 8th. So I'm going to continue it out for a month. I understand your request, but I'm not sure this psychologist is going to make that big of a difference for our purposes today. So I want to look at the phone. He goes on about this phone. But I think based on, especially after I've heard from the kids, I think I've got a pretty good handle on what's been happening here and how to handle it, okay? Oh my God. Okay, so the law clerk was trying to help him trying to help the judge figure out an iPod. The judge says, what do you want me to do? The law clerk says, you see where it has a number and a W? That's how many weeks prior. Scroll all the way up to the top. There's where the history begins. Scroll down to the bottom. That's the most recent. I believe that's how it works. The judge says, for the record, that was my technical expert law clerk telling me what to do here, although I think I had it figured out. This was a fiasco, people, I'm telling you. Okay, so I want to just get through this. Okay, so he's yelling at the ex because he had requested that the ex get a psych eval, which he requested twice, and said he was going to hold him in contempt, and of course gave him a slap on the wrist. See their little wrists? Gave him a little slap. Okay. I'm not going to hold either one of you in contempt, though, because the situation is already emotional and sad enough, and you may possibly have good reasons for doing what you did, and you may have acted on the advice of your attorneys. I did not act on the advice of my attorney. What the ex did, the attorney said to withhold the children. It's in here. I got it in here. And where my attorney says to the ex, why would you follow your attorney's advice? You do know he's not a judge, right? Well, I was just following counsel's advice. Yeah, so these people are all in it together to withhold your kids. That's pretty sick. Real sick, eh? Then he says to the ex, I'm especially upset that you didn't get your evaluation. Then he says about me, I'm more upset with you, Miss Petri, because you had contact when you knew you weren't supposed to. And once again, you are in your own worst enemy. He always loves saying that. Okay, and bear in mind, I did not contact the child. He was contacting me. So let's not spin it, people. Your demeanor on the witness stand, you're evasive, you're vague, you conveniently remember only what you want to remember. That being said, what saves you and what's really going to be determinative here is what your son told me back in chambers. I looked at the transcript partially. I don't know if I can go with this low voice anymore. It's killing me. Remarks to you from the last hearing. I made it clear to you that I did not want you to take your kids away from you, that I knew that you loved your kids and they loved you, but your son, your oldest son, was an emotional wreck. He's an emotional wreck, and I don't know who's causing it. You dumbass. It's Dad and the step monster who enjoys her job in the Erie County Courthouse. Yeah, wake up. Well, they're in a false narrative. Okay. I think that's part of it, but I also think you're contributing to it. How can I contribute to it when I have no contact with the child? All summer, I was not contacting. I was staying in my own lane per order. But yet I'm being blamed for something I didn't do. All of us are, right? Okay, so, right? Sounds like in my case d'Amour. Yep, this is what they do. Then the judge says, be that as it may, I also know that in terms of contacting you, he was partly responsible too, and he initiated some of it. Try all of it. Oh, I won't swear. It's because he loves you and he wants to see you and he wants to be with you, and I'm giving that great weight. He is 14, so this is what we're going to do. You can refer to my May 1st, 21st order because that's pretty much still going to stay in effect. The father still has full custody. The mother is permitted to visit with her children. I'm not going to make it supervised, though. I'm going to make it supervised, but you're still not going to get as much as you want in terms of visitation. I don't know why he said that. I get more information from your evaluation until I see how you're doing. And you don't live that far apart. Regardless who they live with, they're still going to be going to the same school district. You know, how long have we been in this case? Really? So we're going to do this. In the beginning this weekend, Friday, you're going to get them every other weekend from Fridays when school gets out. And I said, yep. Judge says, okay, from Fridays until 4 p.m. until Sundays at 6 p.m. That starts this weekend and will go every other week. School doesn't start till the 9th. Then I'm going to be giving her next Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 8, both days. I don't want their routine disrupted during school. So for right now, you're going to have every other weekend unsupervised. But I'm telling you, if there's a problem, I'm not going to let you see them forever, okay? Oh, is that a threat? I'm not going to let you see them forever? Well, I got dragged into court. I didn't go running in there. I don't care what your son says. This has got to stop. You've got to get it through your head that you need help. And you can't be doing what you want or, quote, sticking up for yourself because you think it's the right thing to do. Boom. Yeah, parents, you can't stick up for yourself in family court. They make up the laws as they go along, and they don't follow the Constitution. You come into court, you expect me to make a decision, and I have. And I think I've bent over backwards to be fair to you. Oh my God. Okay, well, let's keep going. And treat you with respect and courtesy, not. I've made it clear on several occasions I have no interest in keeping you from your kids. Oh, yes, you have. And every time I want to give you more, you do something to make me pause and hesitate. And until your son came and talked to me today, I wasn't going to do what I just did. Do you understand me? And so the judge continues. He actually calls my ex by my last name, Mr. Petri. I know you love your kids too, and they're quite happy with you, but they love their mother too, regardless of her problems. And there's a conflicting testimony as to how your son is doing emotionally. I can tell you that he was pretty upset in my chambers. And then I get a little bit different picture from his brother and sister about how he's doing. But I also know it's clear to me that he wants to see his mother. And I don't think under the circumstances, I could really deprive him of that. So he says, we're going to change paragraph 5 so that there is no confusion. I'm not going to entertain any arguments. They're actually pretty good about the method of contact. Whatever. I've put in here text messaging or email. Now I'm going to add any kind of social media whatsoever, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and whatever else they have invented today. Okay? No contact when they're with their dad. Got it? I nod my head affirmatively. I won't accept any apologies next time. Now you're on notice. Go ahead. So my attorney says, Your Honor, I just have a question. And just so it's crystal clear for everybody, with the kids going back to school, I'm sure there's going to be activities at school, parent-teacher conferences, and whatnot. The judge says, we're going to do this until the next review hearing, and we're scheduled a review in October. Then my attorney says, I just wanted Miss Petri to be aware as to whether or not she's to be involved in those or not involved in those school functions. The judge says, I really don't know. What happened? I let her do that one time. The testimony was pretty vague. What happened the last time? Was there trouble? What kind of trouble? Holy crap. There was never anything brought up. I want to know what medications Judge Robert Sambrook was on when he was running my case. Boy, that's crazy. Actually, just reading that now. So my opposing attorney says, she was supposed to be supervised, but she drove the son by himself to the function and it started to say a bunch of stuff to him that upset him. That is also a lie. The judge says, see, well, I'm not going to relitigate that or reopen that. If you're educated, you're a nurse for heaven's sake. You're not dumb. You're a very smart lady. You need to get this through your head. Do you understand me? I nod affirmatively. She can go to school functions, but if she's on notice now for certain that there's any trouble, that this will be it, okay? Then the opposing attorney, you'll love this because this really gets crazy. Judge, may I? Go ahead. I'm just respectfully asking the court to reconsider, and I just want to point out a couple things, if I may. When we were here back in May, the court issued its order. The court heard the same exact testimony, not March. When the kids originally testified, it was the exact same testimony from the boys. The younger one's a happy-go-lucky kid. The middle one misses his mom and said back when he wanted to live with his mom. But the only thing is that, by all accounts, there's been a positive development in his personality as the judge interrupts. The only accounts I'm hearing are from the siblings and its dad. I mean, Mom, giving it some consideration, I'm giving your son's demeanor and testimony more. My recollection is a little bit different. I don't recall him being quite as upset or empathetic as he was this time. Regardless of what situation it is, I still feel that he's entitled to visit with his mother. I don't think that I'm going wild or crazy here by giving her one weekend every other month to start. The opposing attorney says, does this involve both kids? The judge says, yeah, it involves both kids. Now, he was yelling at this point. Do you have any questions? So my ex speaks up. You just said every other month? Or is it 1 week every other month? You meant every other weekend? The judge says, the weekend, every other weekend, right? All right. So I don't have my calendar in front of me. My secretary's probably going to go crazy when I tell her I want to schedule this in October, but we're going to get it done. So we need to be evaluated by then. He's telling the ex to get his psych eval. Okay, I don't care who by. Yeah, he should care who's doing his psych eval. Not an OCY counselor. If you want me to issue an order, Mr. Taylor, I will. I'm kind of surprised he's not here myself. That's not like him. Yeah, the counselor didn't show up, and that is also a conflict of interest because that counselor worked for OCY. Okay, yeah, yep, yep. So, but he continues. The judge continues, but I do think his testimony will be much more important for a review hearing than for today. So the opposing attorney says, with his tortoiseshell glasses on, Judge, at that point, his testimony might be moot, sorry, because he's not treating with, that was just the OCY. Now that's kind of weird because I didn't know he was seeing an OCY counselor. Anyway, never mind. The judge says, you'll have to just let me know. Well, see, I can't, if one was expunged, okay, get this. Okay, so I was cleared of one emotional abuse charge. And one is still on appeal, so I was still indicated on a secondary emotional abuse charge. And one is still on appeal, so I was still indicated on a secondary emotional abuse. And so I can't really consider it anyway, which is another reason I'm not inclined to give you time to call him in. I don't think it will make a difference. So I can amend this order quickly, and it really doesn't change other than the dates. I'll get together an order. If you have dates in October, you're not available, let me know. Call Debbie and just let her know. Okay, so they're all on a first name basis. And so my attorney says, Judge, I have limited availability the last week of October. And the judge says, I probably have limited availability every day that month, so we'll figure it out. So my attorney says, well, it's my wedding. I'm getting married. The judge says, unacceptable. You get 10 minutes. I do. That's the end of it. You can go on your honeymoon later. All right. Are there any questions? He was trying to be funny. Now, in terms of the pickup, I don't want any issues here either. You do not live that far apart. I don't think it's necessary for either one of you to get out of cars and go knock on doors. So, Ms. Petri, I'm going to leave it to you to pick them up. You're to stay in the car, okay? You're to be on time, and they can come out and get in your car, okay? And then you can bring them back. I don't think that's unduly burdensome because you don't live that far apart. And then I said, am I allowed to honk? So the judge says, yes. Or if you have a third party with you, the third party is allowed to go up and knock the door. Wait a minute. A third party is allowed to go up and knock at the door? I just think you two should stay away from each other for a while and not have any contact. That minimizes potential for trouble. Yeah, like HOMICIDE. Do you have any other questions? I said, not at this moment. And neither did the ex-husband. Then I think my other attorney says, Your Honor, everything will be made available, whatever. Getting the oldest the clothing back, whatever. The judge said, get that done. Okay, and I said, well, it is done. I just can't get it to anyone or even lift it for me, right? So the judge says, get somebody. You got two boys. You got a 14-year-old and 12-year-old. The two can lift together. I think they could do it. Well, just get it done, please, because your daughter's not coming back. You know she doesn't want to come back. She's not coming back. I mean, you need to accept that too. Get her things, and I expect you to have it done within a week. And I said, it can be done today, Your Honor. Well, good. Then get it done today. Is that it then? All right. We're in recess. I'll issue the order now at that time. Directly at that time. The entourage, which was the stepmonster, her three sisters, her mother, and his mother and father, started screaming at the top of their heads in anger over my getting the kids every other weekend. So they had a fit when technically, really, we should have just gone back to 50-50. And that's what it was all about. That's what that child asked, not just every other weekend BS. So I beg of everyone, if you can stay out of the family courts, please do. But if you're dragged in there by a personality disorder, which I did discuss on my podcast yesterday, about this poor guy that has been locked up for 10 years with false allegations. And it was www.justice4jamie.com, Jamey. And so we discussed personality disorders within that podcast. So this is the thing. You're dealing with a personality disorder that's dragging you through this whole, see how thick that was? That was a whole day. Now, I think this thing cost about $150, believe it or not. Okay, we're talking City of Erie, okay? Try to stay out of there. And you got to watch these third-party parasites, right? Does everyone know what a third-party parasite is? Okay, that is your guardian ad litem. That is your child custodial evaluator, which is like the guardian ad litem, and your psychologists. Yeah. I was warned that child psychologist, that caricature of a Disney princess, was a problem to the law community. And I thought, oh no. Oh my God. So anyway, that's what she was going on about. Can everyone see that? Is it backwards for you guys? Yes, Case Demore. Wow, I know. A parent coordinator. Okay, so I didn't. Okay, you got a parent coordinator. Isn't that terrible that parents have to be coordinated? And like we're all back in high school again? Like WTF. Is this, can you read this like normally, or does it have to be this way? Whoops. I don't know how you guys are seeing it. Can you see that? Love you more. We all say this as parents. We all answer the kid that way. It's not a federal case, which all of this did evolve into later. Hi, Ashley. But that's what happened. And even though I was under an indication for emotional child abuse, this was the second one because they were back to back. As people recall, they were within 4 days of each other. So for a judge to give me every other weekend unsupervised, my attorney told me was a sheer miracle. He has never seen that done. So again, I ask, what medications was this judge on when he was running my case like a three-ring circus? I think I kind of showed that in my Halloween TikTok, which I did put on my YouTube channel, Slam the Gavel. I did edit it because the Wi-Fi was not it was acting up. And I did not have an IT guy there to figure it out. Okay, so I really don't know what to say. I just can't believe all this happened. I'm sure everyone's saying, hi Stephanie. Hi, Ashley. Yeah, so hi, yeah, okay. And so you can't believe this stuff's happening to you, and you're like, when you're on the witness stand, just tell the truth. Don't lie, and don't start crying for effect like the ex-husband Seth Baylor, which is in this book. I put him under the demonic name of Seth Baylor. Both those names are demonic in nature. Well, when they start acting like Satan, you really don't know what to do. And his wife, the step monster, I put her under the name as Judith. Oh, sorry, Judith. And you don't understand why your son was even taken. I don't even know why my son was taken, other than, start digging deeper. Like the step monster couldn't have kids of her own, and she always wanted to be a nurse. So that was her jealousy motive for her to judge shop within the courthouse, because all of these judges, a lot of them were calling me by Baylor's last name. So they're so used to saying her last name. I hope this is making sense. They're so used to saying her last name that they're calling me that as well. So there was a conflict of interest. The book you can find on Amazon, Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, because it really wasn't enough for these people. Okay, And you can find it on my website, dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. If you click on that, hang on, I got to drag this puzzle piece because I don't know why that's happening. Okay. All right, I'm back. So I got distracted by the puzzle piece. I'm sure we're all like that from the hell we've been through in family court by these criminals. And we're getting close to November 4th. And in Pennsylvania here, we get to vote for judge retention. I think everybody knows where I stand with that. Vote no for the judges to be retained. Vote no. Do you want them in there for another 10 years? I think not. Yeah. So this book, and I don't know if you can see, oh, is it there? No, wrong side. There is the painting I did. That was the book cover. Because the other publisher wanted me to change my name. So I painted her in my image just so I would have some identity. But my other new publisher from Triumph Press, she said, no, we're using your name. If you're going to do book signings, which never happened, you got to be able to use your name. Okay, so then, also with this book, if you have any questions, you're also able to reach out to me with any questions. There are also takeaways to this book. It's only, somebody was nasty and called it a pamphlet. There's only 149 pages to it, right? So there's takeaways regarding personality disorders, abuse by proxy or proxy abuse. And I think I talked about that on my last TikTok live. So you got to really watch these horrible people in action. This is how family court works. Ask Maryann about family court, okay? That's what I should have titled this podcast. Ask Maryann about family court. Believe me, I'll tell you what I know. I'm not an attorney. I can't give advice, but what I can tell you and warn you about, whoever lies first is going to win. And I said something on yesterday's podcast kind of towards the end that was kind of crass. And I'll just leave it at that. And so, thank you for liking it. Yeah, true story. I had to change the names and locations and even how many kids I had. I had to change. I technically have had 3, but I put 4 in the book because I did in real life have a miscarriage. So technically I have had 4 kids. So that's kind of how I pulled that off. Then I wrote Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Then I've written Raised by These Wolves, Child Trafficking Within the Foster Care and Court Systems. Yeah, see these wolves, they're not very happy and they're miserable and they probably are all backbiters, constantly fighting. That's what they do. They encourage more adversity in the family court system. Okay, so then this one, oh, that was volume 2. This is volume 1. I went out of order. Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children. These are stories. These are a collection of stories of parents that have been through the court system. And they're telling their story of how all of this evolved, which I think it's important because it's good to know how they met their exes, how fast it went, because you know how these personality disorders love bomb everybody. That's all they do, is they love bomb everybody, and then they flip the table after, marriage. I have had people tell me that their ex had changed right at the honeymoon. And I'm telling people it's okay if you're getting married and you notice anything strange, something's not right to you. Talk to a good close friend or a counselor or your parents if you're lucky to have both of them. I wish I would have talked to my parents about what I married because I really didn't want to go down the aisle that day. And that's probably another podcast. But I'll tell you one quick thing. I used to be a bank teller, right? I was a bank teller for 4.5 years, making $7 an hour. Okay, that was minimum wage. Was it? No, it was $5 and some odd cents. Okay, so anyway, I was engaged to this guy, and he was already personality disorder wise changing throughout the whole relationship. So I was lucky enough, he proposed to me, and I gave him his ring back within the month. So it seemed like he behaved worse after he gave me an engagement ring. So I gave it back to him. Actually, I threw it at him, and it bounced onto the hardwood floor of his house because he gave me the creeps, and he was not nice. So I normally don't throw expensive jewelry, but at that point I might as well. So don't be afraid to give it back. And when I went to work the next day, I had always waited on customers, and this one customer who knew me, she said, "Oh, you're not wearing that ring anymore." I said, "I gave it back. He wasn't nice to me." She said, I hope I don't start crying, "I wish I would have done the same thing. I wish I had guts like that to give the ring back." So don't be afraid to call it a day, because that could save your whole entire life. Because when they say till death do us part, they ain't kidding. Okay. Do you want me to end this with a poem? Let me see. I'm going to try to find a short one because like I said, I didn't want this to be a long thing. Okay. All right. Okay, how about this one? The Destruction of Trust, written March 20th, 2019. There's way too much for me to see that hasn't surrounded all of me. The lies and falsehoods ebb and flow. People believe what they think they know. Social media is no help, and there's nothing you can do. Just suck it up while your reputation is destroyed too. Who really cares about only you and what others think? Now the loss of your faith in the system begins to sink. How easy it is for others to destroy your reputation, then begin to spread lies, adding to the exploitation. There you sit helpless, and there's never enough proof, and others turn their backs against you, acting aloof. Okay, wait a minute. 2 more stanzas. Gather your senses and do not ever trust another soul. Learn this as a safety net if you must, or it will take a toll. Because once you begin to let go and start to relax, that is when they sit back and plan their next attack. Be calm in the face on one falsehood after another. Ask yourself, can you really ever begin to recover? Wearing your heart on your sleeve and you will get hurt. So guard your heart quickly and always stay alert. That was The Destruction of Trust on page 69 of Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. So I hope I've helped give some advice. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but what I've been through and what I know a lot of you parents are going through, thank you, Anna. Thank you for saying I'm awesome. Sometimes I just don't know if I am. I have my moments. I totally think that was so kind of you to say. And again, whether you wear a fun necklace, even you guys, I'm sure guys have this tattooed on their arm. I don't like tattoos only because they hurt. I have one on my ankle, and I'd show you, but I haven't shaved my legs. But it's just a flower, and I did it when I was younger. But you can say I love you more to your kids. There's nothing bad about that. We all love our kids more than we love ourselves. So my daughter's having problems. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I've got to go because now my voice is shot from imitating a judge and opposing attorney. And but this is what they do when they sequester kids in chambers. And they can't tell the kid has been coached. If you can't tell a kid has been coached, then you don't need to be a judge, okay? So, thank you, Case Demore, thank you. I'm going to go rest now. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you all.